coming up, many of us, or at least in my neighborhood, there was this one house that you didn't mess with. A lot of you noticed, you grew up in a neighborhood, there was one particular house that had the nice grass, it had perfectly manicured flowers, it was just immaculate. And the owner of the house, Old Man Jones we'll call him, he was always strict and seemed mean and scary. So if you were playing and your ball went over the fence and it was Old Man Jones' yard, you just lost that ball. It's time to buy a new ball. Or sometimes it was that house that you would dare each other to maybe go knock on the door, ring the doorbell, and you would run because everybody was scared because he was just so strict and everything was so perfect that you just didn't fool around with in his property. Well, in today's story, Old Man Jones had a son, and we'll just start from there. So one day the kids were all in class, and the teacher said, we have a new student. And this fellow walks in and introduces himself, and everybody's like, hey, Bob, and things are going the way they go when you have a new student. Some people are nice, some people are mean, some people show him stuff, some people make jokes about him. But Bob had some weird sensibilities. At lunchtime, he only ate certain things. You try to offer him some of your stuff, and he's like, I'm sorry, I can't eat that. It's like, what? It's like, my dad doesn't allow me to eat those kinds of things. Man, your dad is strict. And you go to gym, and everybody else is wearing shorts and wife beaters and running around, and Bob always wore sweatpants and long sleeve shirts, even in the summertime. Like, man, why don't you put on some shorts? You gotta be burning up. And Bob would be like, well, my dad, he didn't want me wearing that kind of stuff, so I can't really wear shorts and stuff out in public. It's like, man, your dad is strict. So this one guy actually got to be friends with Bob. And this guy, his parents didn't. He ate whatever, he dressed however, he cut his hair however, he cursed. So there was rumors that he drank and smoked in the boys' bathroom. He was tough. His hair was spiky sometimes, he had tattoos, sometimes he would just rough people up. He was a tough nut. But somehow, this guy, we'll call him Jim, got to be friends with Bob. And an unlikely pair you've never seen before, but they were thick as thieves. Wherever you saw Bob, there you saw Jim. And when you saw Jim, there you saw Bob. So all the time they were at school, they were always together. So one day, Bob invited Jim over to his house for a play date. So all through the day, Jim was kind of excited. He'd never been to Bob's house, Hey, this is a new opportunity for me. I get to meet Bob's family. He's all right. He's my friend. I want to get to know a little bit more about him. So cool. So school got over, and they went walking home together. And believe it or not, the house that they came to was Old Man Jones's house. Oh man, we didn't even know Old Man Jones had kids because his children went to private schools up until Bob came to public schools with the rest of us, So anyway, Jim walks up and he sees this Old Man Jones house. He's like, I'm not going in there. And Bob was like, come on, this, it's all good. This is my house, this is where I live. You get to meet my dad. Come on, it's going to be great. So Jim, as bad as he was still a little bit scared to go up in Old Man Jones's yard. Because Old Man Jones was like 1 billion years old. He had always been around. Even the parents knew about Old Man Jones. He was just a staple of the community. Old Man Jones was, he was a vampire or something because he never died. He was just there. So he's like, okay. So they walk up on the porch, and Old Man Jones comes to the door, and he looks at Jim, and he opens the door wide, and he says, welcome to my home. Come in, have a seat. Jim walks in and the place is perfect. There's not a puff of dog hair. There's no lint in the corners. The place is immaculate, just like the outside. It's perfect. And so, Jim's kind of freaking out because, he got on his old dirty tennis shoes. He's wondering, should I take them off? He's got his hair spiked up, and everything. Bob is so put together that he starts feeling a little uncomfortable. And so Bob's like, come on, we'll go up to my room. So they go up to Bob's room, and they're playing video games, and they're laughing, and they're joking around. And before you know it, Jim lets out a cuss word. Oh man, blah blah blah. And he's like, oh crap, he remembers where he is, and he looks around. He's like, I hope your dad didn't hear that. And Bob's like, it's okay. And, he knows that not everybody's perfect. Okay, all right. So they're playing again, he gets excited again, and he drops an F-bomb this time. Bam! He looks around all nervously. And when he looks around, there's Mr. Jones walking in the door. He's like, oh man, I'm gonna get put out for sure. Mr. Jones just looks at him and smiles and says, I don't like that language in my house, but you're a friend of my son's. I just want you to know that I don't like that language. He's like, crap, all right, I'm sorry, Mr. Jones, I'll try to do better. So he gives them some milk and cookies, and they start playing some more. Before long, here comes a real big one. The MF is bam! MF! Man, I should have got that hit. He looks over his shoulder, and there's Mr. Jones again. And he turns white. He's like, oh crap, Mr. Jones is gonna have me now. Mr. Jones just kind of nods his head and goes on out the room. So the play date progresses, and they have snacks, they have a lot of time, good times together and everything. And so it comes time for Jim to go home, and Bob is walking him out, and Mr. Jones is standing by the door. He seems like he just lurks everywhere in the house. So Mr. Jones is by the door, and he stops and says, well, Jim says, thank you, Mr. Jones, for allowing me to come to your house. And Mr. Jones looks at Jim, and he's like, I know you don't dress like we dress, and you probably don't understand that. And I know you don't eat the same things we eat, and you may not understand that. And I know sometimes you say words that I don't really care for, and I understand that. It's not that big a deal. But you're a friend of my son's, so I thank you for coming. I'm glad to meet you. I enjoy meeting my son's friends. And he's like, okay, sir. And so Bob says, you coming over tomorrow? And Jim looks up at Mr. Jones, and Jones just kind of smiles and is like, if you want to come back tomorrow, you're always welcome, because you're a friend of my son's. I'm going to actually end the story there, because that's just a good spot.